Welcome to the Career Management Podcast for Black women. Yes, this show is for you. I'm your host, Felicia Ann Rose Anuha, also known as the Trill MBA. Why am I the Trill MBA? Because I'm going to keep it true and real with you about what it takes to make it in the workplace. Every week, we're going to empower you with the tips, tricks, and tactics that you need, not just to survive at work, but to thrive at work. Whether you're aiming for that promotion or you really have some crazy workplace stuff going on, it's gonna be okay. We've got you covered. Love our content? Subscribe, like, comment, and let us know what workplace dilemma you're going through. We want to go on this journey with you, and we want to see you win. That's why I started this show. Now, in today's episode, we are dropping gems to help you level up your career with confidence. Now, let's start the show. We're having a very human conversation. This is not a Trill MBA episode, nor is it a
Healing Race episode. I'm a fellow podcaster, co-host of the podcast called Healing Race you can find on YouTube.
Yes, and you can find the Career Management Podcast for Black women on YouTube. So Andre is in town because he is doing some work for his podcast, Healing Race, that he co-hosts with
my friend Todd Levinson.
Hi, Todd. And I've just picked him up from the airport, and we were having this really great conversation about humanity. And we decided we should record this. And I was like, let's go to the studio. So here we are. I think our conversation is very important because it started out with the question, are Black women angry at Black gay men? Yeah. And I was taken aback by this. I was like, what? What are you talking about, Andre?
So to give everyone the premise, I was on Tubi binging just documentaries. I'm a huge documentary buff. And I saw one, and I apologize for not knowing the creator's name. I really do.
We'll find it and we'll put it in the comments.
And we'll put it in the comments. But it was called Being Out Black and Gay in America. And during Pride, and this is the month of July, the last month of July, so I was watching it last month during Pride, and it's a 10-part series, each episode 1 hour, and it goes through a gamut of perspectives. The gentleman, the creator, interviews Black women and Black men, so it's only Afro-American centric and focused around the themes about being gay and people's feelings about being gay, but focused on gay men. And one of the episodes dealt with a huge amount of animosity between Black gay men and Black women, which took me aback, similar to Felicia, because many of my best friends and my best friend who's flying into town now as we record this have been Black women, and they have been wonderful supporters. And I have publicly said, and I will again, that I sit at the feet of their knowledge. I literally do. And that started with my grandmother. So to hear that, you know, Black women say things like a waste of a good Black man, because many Black gay men have good jobs, they're educated, or the loss of a dream, or, you know, you're not going to do this, or try to kick fellow parishioners out of churches, put me in a feeling of dismay. And I wanted to discuss it with my essentially my girlfriends, the Black women in my life who've been so wonderful and supportive and important to me. And I've asked them pointed questions. Do you look at me with a sense of disappointment? And do you, Felicia?
Absolutely not. But I had to be honest, because you had said like you'd heard Black women saying, you're one of the good ones. We lost one, right? And I have said that in a very general and broad way, especially when I'm at the gym.
But what was your motivation for saying it?
Because I am a single Black woman, and there feels like, well, I don't know, I think the numbers tell the truth. Like there are more eligible Black women that, you know, kind of have their shit together and would be, you know, appropriate partners for somebody, an eligible Black man who kind of has his shit together. You know, he can take care of himself. And that was
a point in the documentary. So may I ask another question? Do you feel that the two of us are in sexual competition with one another?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
because you're gay. You like men, right? Like I can't be. And so understand, I don't even believe in the word competition. Like I don't believe in competition. What's for me is for me. Mm-hmm. So like I would never look at Guillermo and be like, I should have been with Guillermo.
Guillermo's my husband, everyone.
Right. I should have been with Guillermo instead of Andre. Like that just is crazy to me. Like you guys are in love. Y'all are meant to be. Y'all are clearly meant to be. The way your whole love story, like you were on vacation. You were both on vacation. Yes. It was just kismet and a beautiful meet cute. Like I would never in a million years think that. But I think the generality that we're dealing with when you look at the numbers, right?
Yes.
Because of slavery, Black men are incarcerated, like school to prison pipeline, right? But Black women have, because we're the workhorses, they've deemed us the workhorses. Less threatening, and I say that loosely. You know, they need us as domestics, so we weren't going to jail at the same rates as our Black male counterparts. And so because of that, you now have this quote unquote deficit where, you know, our population globally, men to women, there's always slightly a few more women than men. So it's like 51-49 or 50.5 to 50, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
And so from a population standpoint, the population of Black women to Black men should be about 50-50, but it's not. Mm-hmm. And then when you break that out into people who are age appropriate for you, people who are in the same socioeconomic place that you are, where it, you know, when you look at all the compatibility,
and those things are important when it comes to compatibility.
It is like it is, especially when you're a woman who makes a certain amount of money, because you have a, you know, Black women love to get a degree. He broke up with me, I'm gonna get another master's degree, right? Like
that is so true.
They treated me wrong at the job, I'm gonna go back to, I got laid off, I'm going to get my PhD. Like we're always getting these degrees, and that's a whole nother episode. But like because of that, and then Black women are just constantly berated by the system that is meant to put them in jail. Mm-hmm. And the few that can escape that, right, because of sheer force of their environment and their people in their lives who say, this will not be you.
Yes.
Right. Then because there's so few of those people, so then it becomes, it just feels like none of the people in that group can be gay, because if you're gay, and then I'm out. I have no chance. Yes. And then that's one less person in the pool for me.
But Black men aren't saying this about Black women, and maybe it's because of the numbers.
Because there's a lot of women. Like it's plenty of women. It's just too many women. And there's certain cities like Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Atlanta is just a bunch of women. Mm-hmm. It's so many women in Atlanta that just got it going on. Like dime pieces, like the pool of dime piece Black women in Atlanta is for somebody like me, it's just like, I love being in Atlanta. I love hanging out in Atlanta. I love the energy. I have all my friends there, but I don't want to date in Atlanta.
They cover that in the documentary, and a young woman, beautiful woman, she said, I dated and married the man in Atlanta. I think maybe she was a native Atlanta.
Yeah.
And she said, turns out he was on the down low.
Yeah. But that's not why I want to date in Atlanta. The problem is, so yes, you have this contingent of Black gay men in the Mecca of Atlanta. But the problem is, because now all those men are out of the pool, it's kind of, some of them are bisexual and they in the pool too. But
that is a valid manifestation of sexuality.
Yeah.
So they are legitimately dating women, but
they also date men.
And they should just be honest about it.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody should just be honest, right?
Okay.
But the problem is, then you have the dudes who are married and the dudes who are single, and they know, like, I literally can date 10 women. Like I can date 10 women. I can just be out here wilding. Like
I didn't know how much of a thing that was. Until recently.
And then they don't, when you get into a certain dynamic, this is a particular dynamic in Atlanta because of the numbers, there are a contingent of women, sadly, that are just like, well, I'd rather have a piece of a man than no man at all.
And does that piece of a man include a gay man if he's willing to be a good partner and companion to a Black woman?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think for some women, that's okay.
But why? And then what do other women feel? Do other women feel some kind of way toward her for settling for a piece that's like that? Because the reason I ask is because the documentary the feedback from the Black women felt as though it's like a gay man is sort of less than a man. Like a gay man is that
society.
Kind of piece of a man.
That's society. I don't mean piece of a man in that way. What I mean is I would rather have some male attention than no male attention.
Got it.
That's what I mean by a piece of a man.
That's a great clarification.
Yeah, I don't mean that there's some men who are lesser than a man.
Yeah.
I will take this amount of what I know I deserve because that's all I can get. And I'd rather have that than nothing. That's the mentality I'm talking about. This whole, like, first of all, understand, as far as my personal beliefs and my politics, I grew up in the Southern Baptist Church, and very much so on Sundays, Sodom and Gomorrah, and this is what it means to be gay, blah, blah, blah. But when I was, but when I was in high school, I had a friend that was out and gay, and in high school, which was like unheard of in the 1990s in the rural South, right?
And I was also out in high school.
And you knew you weren't alone, but you were kind of alone with being out. Do you know what I'm saying?
I learned that in my adulthood when I learned of the people from the class that came out later in life.
Right. All them gay folks in my class. Right.
Yes.
But y'all was sitting up there talking trash about this one. And this is crazy.
And I was that one who was out.
Yeah. And it's just crazy to me. But like, this person was a friend to me.
Yes.
And I didn't care. I realized, like, I love this person. I don't care. And my mom was like, well, Jesus loves everybody. And I really love my mom for that because she grew up in, now here's the flip side of that. So she taught me that, but then on the flip side, our family is so indoctrinated with all the horrible things, slurs, and because I have a cousin who's older than me, maybe a little bit younger than my mom, but she was a lesbian. She had a partner, like,
and I won't say the things.
No, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say the words. But yeah, such and such is. I can.
My father had a word for lesbians, and when I finally came out and started spending time with lesbians and gay, I was like, oh Lord.
Yeah. And it was absolutely. It was such like, this is what you say. I didn't even know. It's like, I'll give you another example of words and things I said that I didn't know was wrong until I got to like college or beyond.
And were you aware of that cognitive dissonance?
No, I no, because it was stated so matter of factly. Like it was just, that's what it is. Like, and my grandma used to say, oh, you trying to gyp me. Or gyp, somebody gypping somebody. And so I would say that because I didn't even know it was wrong. I didn't know it was like a slur against gypsy people. Like I didn't even know there were real gypsy people. Like, again, Victoria, Texas.
Yeah. Small community.
And so I was just like, oh my God.
And also you love your family, so you don't want to feel as though your family's indoctrinating you into something that's incorrect.
Here's the thing. You gotta understand, my grandma was born in 1929. She didn't know none of these words were wrong at all.
3 years younger than my grandmother.
Never would occur to her that these words were wrong. Never would occur to my mother that these words are not right. That this is it, or that it would be offensive to anybody. This is just what this is called. This is just what you say. So sometimes when like old white people call black people niggas,
yes,
I just feel like, they really grew up with like, this word isn't wrong. This is what we call them.
Come to my family all the time.
Right. So it's just like, especially in the South,
and it's
right?
creeped into my colloquialisms as well.
I mean, I say nigga all the time, but I say the A. Like, I don't be saying hard. To me, it just feel hard ER just is really offensive
and to me. It depends on the mood in which you catch me, baby.
That's true. Those are the facts.
And Felicia, like, yeah, because Andre's Pisces. Pisces, baby. I clicks, baby.
Listen. So like, my grandma was a Pisces. So yeah, it's fire in that water. Like, don't.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
It is fire in that water.
Yes.
And so, now that I'm older and I really am on this for myself, and we were talking about this, for myself, I want to be able to just be, right? But in order to just be and not judge myself and not like allow society's ish that has just permeated in so many ways we don't even understand, I have to stop judging other people. I cannot be free and then turn around and judge people, because then that means I'm not free. Because in that judgment of somebody else is a reflection of a judgment of yourself.
So I had a very different experience. Homosexuality hit me at a very early age. I was an effeminate boy, and I was also, so my history, I was a teen pregnancy, and my parents were both 16 when they were 15 when they conceived me. And the Lord made sure that they both had birthdays before I was born. And I was also born a secret. My grandmother did not know I was coming.
Really?
Yeah, I was born, I have a hell of a story. I was born a secret. But because my mother was 16, that means I spent the early part of my years with my grandmother. My grandmother, like many Black women, was a single mother, and my mother was her baby, and she had 2 older children. So I remember being 6 years old, and we were living in a housing project where my grandmother raised her kids. I literally come from a housing project. Now, don't listen to my mama, because she'll say, well, we didn't live. Like, yes, we did. Like, we lived there until I was like age 9. But anyway,
right.
So I was raised partially in a housing project. And there was this young man who used to dress up as a woman. And do drag. Now, I had no idea what that was, but he would put on padding and a dress and wigs. And he also lived in the housing project, and he would go out, and get in his car, and I assume go to the gay clubs. And my grandmother and my uncle, seeing that I was an effeminate person, pulled me aside. And one day they saw him going out to his car dressed in full drag. And they pointed him out to me and asked me, and told me rather, they asked, they said, you don't want to be like that, do you? And I was like, what are you trying to say? They were like, you don't want to be a punk. So a punk was a kind way of saying the F word.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it is. Like, to me, even now today, I feel like it's a slur.
It is a slur.
And so I'm just like, a punk. Because again, these are regular words for these folks, and it has no idea. It's like, there's no cognition for the old people that this is wrong or this is dehumanizing.
Yes. And so from that moment, being pulled aside from my grandmother and my uncle, because my uncle was living with my grandmother at the time, I've always been conscious of not letting my femininity show, or if it does show, not too much. Now, I know you all are listening to me and I have a pretty deep voice. For number one, I learned to put that bass up in my voice so people can respect me and I wouldn't sound like a quote unquote punk. And because actually I can go pretty high with my voice. But ever since then, it's been a struggle internally for me to do what you said, just be.
Just be.
And I think you're so right in that, Felicia, that all of that started a lineage of self-judgment and made me hyper aware of how other people come across. And so I'm much better at it now, but over the years, especially in my 20s, I was hyper judgmental of other people.
Yes, because you're hyper judgmental of yourself. And I am literally just now learning this in therapy.
The grace of middle age. I love it.
Yes.
It is. It's the grace of middle age.
But just now I don't know if I'm learning or I'm coming to this aha realization that it is the only thing I really need to do is just evolve in this human form. And part of that evolution is letting go of the bullshit that society says. Like, the thing that really irks me is, why are we so hell-bent on trying to tell other people how to live their life?
Oh my God, Felicia. Yes. And why can't we just be? When I read some of the conservative agenda that's been put out there in mainstream media by quote unquote think tanks, I ask myself the exact same question. Why are we trying to legislate? And I'll just throw it out there because I like to be provocative. Pornography. So something that I learned is I don't know any pornographic content creators. I don't. But something that I've learned about that community is that many people use pornography to understand the mechanics of sex.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, your parents or friends will talk about the emotional aspect, but the actual
if they talk about it at all.
If they talk about it at all. But if you think about it, for those of you out there who may have, seen a porn or two, pornography, because of all the angles, shows you the mechanics of how to do the shit you want to do. Like, wait a minute, what?
Right.
Yes.
I never thought about it like that, but
And because I was thinking about it after I read that, and so I'm not saying you should or should not legislate the distribution and the creation of pornography. But what I am saying is that things like that are sensitive and sometimes embarrassing topics, and where you may want to impose your will on another person because something may feel off kilter or morally wrong to you. You're really taking away a valued resource from a person who really needs to understand. And I'm going to give you a very specific example. So I was reading the Atlantic magazine, been around for I think 150 years, a few years ago, and it was an article about women who had stopped having sex. And the women were like, real talk, and this is women of all races, real talk, when these guys get with us, they want us to enact stuff they've learned from pornography. So half of them were trying to choke a woman and do all these kinds of things. And so they really, because clearly choke sex is a thing. And yes. And so they want to go straight into choke sex. I'm like,
you got to work up to that.
Yes,
that
baby.
Takes trust. I mean, I feel like I don't know a woman that doesn't want to choke a little. I don't know a woman who wouldn't be into that a little bit. But there's rules, there's boundaries. Like, you just trust this. You got to work up to that. You can't. That's not night one.
That's not night one, and neither is rim jobs. That's not night one. That's trust.
Yeah.
But I say all of this to say is that there was a point in the article where heterosexual couples had started to make pornography together, so husbands and wives and even boyfriends and girlfriends, to show people how to have healthy sex lives, how to make love to a woman without all this crazy ass shit going on.
But see, this is the problem, right? You have these fanatical evangelists or what, I don't know. They're just
But I assume they have sex lives.
But listen, maybe. But like, stop focusing on the religion.
The churchianity.
The churchiness.
As Miss Ayanla says.
And start focusing on your relationship with the God you serve. I can always tell when somebody doesn't have a relationship with God. You know why? Because the stuff that comes out of their mouth and how they talk about other people. Because when you really have a relationship with God, you are so focused on trying to live a way that God will be proud of you. And you know that God is not proud if you're dehumanizing, belittling, judging his other children.
His other children.
And that's always first up, like, your relationship with God is shaky, huh? Because when last time you talked to him? Because you over here talking trash about this person, like, I get it. There are times where people do things to you, or they do things that rub you wrong or get on your nerves.
Triggers.
But how you react in your words to them, because words are powerful.
They are.
And they do. And how you react to your word. Like, even me, I'm in a particular situation I can't talk about really, but like, I want to be calling people out their names so bad. And I tell myself, like, you know that this is happening because somebody is hurting. Like, you don't act like this unless you're hurting.
Yeah.
And this person has worked up a story in their head and they are hurting from the story they're telling themselves.
Yes.
That has nothing to do with me per se, but I have every right to want to call this person all kinds of names and out their name. But
that awareness.
But that's not, because I want to be seen as a human. And I want to be given humanity. And the only way I can get my humanity is that I give and make sure that I'm reacting and acting in very human ways.
And that's what the gay men said in that documentary.
Yeah.
How we started this. Yeah.
Yeah.
You make, as you recognize the humanness in yourself, you extend it to other people. Yes. And sometimes recognizing that humanness is a struggle.
It is, because nobody wants to admit that they have all these flaws and they're not. Like, the reason why we judge ourselves is because we want to be some perfect. There's no such thing.
And the United States, and I'm looking square in the camera, is a place of achievers. And achievement is not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. But it could put you on a treadmill of intense self-judgment about all kinds of aspects of your life. And sometimes if you relax the thing that you want and just be, like Felicia said, then you'll find true and authentic joy. So I have to wonder sometimes when everyone, I always call them gold star human beings, people who are looking for their gold star in whatever their thing is.
Right.
And once you have that gold star, are you satisfied? And in many cases, from what I've seen, they're not satisfied. No. They just move on to the next gold star.
Because, and this is something I'm, again, this coming into this, right? Because all my life I've been told, go to school, get a good job, work hard, take care of yourself, and this you'll be happy because you'll have money.
Yes.
And I'm here to tell you that's not the answer. For me, and I think it's different for everybody, but because once you get the thing and then you're not happy, and then it makes you angry, it makes you unhappier because now you did the thing they told you to do to be happy, and now you're not happy.
I see this a lot in relationships, and people go from one partner to the next to the next.
Because that person can't make you happy.
Do you know, my best friend told me that a third of people on dating sites are already in relationships. And I was like, what? I'm like,
yeah, I believe that.
That means you with somebody looking for
and
the
I
next
believe
boo.
That. And ladies, don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. But let's be honest. Let's keep it true. Women break up with men in their heads months before they actually break up with them, which means them heifers on them ass. Which then, and then it's a weird bad cycle, right? Because then it's men on the apps, and they may be genuine, good, healed. They may have a level of healing. Well, they're meeting these broken bitches on these apps. Which then makes them mad, and then makes them be like, well, I'm going to be a dog. Yep. And then they meet an actual good girl on the app.
And she pays for it.
And then she pays for it. And it's just, and we are not winning. Nobody's winning. Nobody's winning because everybody's trying to be something they're not and do things they shouldn't be doing.
And Felicia, that also exacerbates, I guess you would say, the disconnect possibly between gay Black men and Black women. Because think about, if you now have all of that you've seen in your life, and then a Black man comes out and is like, well, I'm gay. And I'm like, wait, so now the men are gay, and they're also the ones that are at least trying to be straight or behaving like dogs. It's like, what do I do? And it really is, sometimes you do wonder, like, what's the point of any of this?
Right. And we're going to end there because Maren's going to be mad. She said, I'm picking up my bag.
Okay.
And we need to pick her up.
But you and I work well together. We need to film again.
Yes, we should do a show.
We do. We should.
Hey, guys, let us know. If this was an interesting conversation for you and you want Andre and I to explore our humanity, and our perspectives on humanity, and we check all different kind of boxes between the two of us, let us know in the comments if this is a show you might want to watch.
And we'll produce it.
Yeah. Oh, I love you so much.
Love you too, Felicia.
All right.
Bye, world.
Bye. Audience. Thanks, Chris, for editing this.
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully see you next time. I love it.
Bye. Well, guys, that's a wrap on another great episode of the Career Management Podcast for Black women. Yes, girl, this show is just for you. We're here to tell you how to play that chessboard at work, girl. So subscribe, comment, like, follow us on social media at Trill and BA Show. Listen, every time you tell one of your friends, you share this information, you share this podcast, it helps us to grow and make even more dope content just for you, unapologetically. That's why we're here. Now, if you are facing a workplace dilemma, such as a performance improvement plan, or you're not able to secure your promotion and raise that you have worked for and you have deserved, basically, if these people are playing in your face, we are here to help. Go to trillandba.com/coaching to schedule a one-time one-on-one call to workshop your specific dilemma with me. Or schedule a consult to get more information about the consulting packages that I do offer on a longer term basis. As always, you can reach out to us with your listener letters and your questions at trillandba.com. Until next time, guys, focus on your best possible outcome. Ask for help when you need it. Please, please, please ask for help. And as always, keep it trill. I'll see y'all next week.